So I always struggled to build my biceps, and felt like no matter how many curls I would do, I just couldn't get that muscle to grow. So I'd be doing curls like this, and what would happen is my forearm would tire out before I would feel it in my bicep at all. So I tried a lot of different things, a lot of different exercises. I got advice from people saying, oh, try this exercise, this curl, try it with a barbell. And no matter how many of those I did, I never could seem to get my bicep to work harder than my forearm. And even going heavier, trying to progressively overload, all these things that are good things, this would just burn out faster and I wouldn't build up my arms. So what I've come to now, I've actually distilled this down into 2 rules that no matter what bicep exercise you're doing, these 2 things, if you don't have them right, you're not going to get a good bicep exercise. I'm not saying progressive overload is bad. I'm not saying lifting heavy is bad. Those are all really good things and good advice. Sometimes people talk about targeting the long head versus the short head, but no matter what head of the bicep you're targeting, this is going to apply. So it's this universal. So let me tell you about those 2 rules that I found. So the first one is about the direction of the force. You want the direction going downward against that bicep. So if you look here, when I'm doing a curl, so I start from down here, coming up, and then all the way down to straight. So here, I want the direction that gravity is pushing down on the weight. But if you look at my arm is actually not going against gravity, it's going sideways this way. So all of that force, all of that resistance is not actually going into my bicep. And this right here is the most important part of a curl for building up muscle. So that's just my forearm having to hold up the weight at that point. So to counter that, if the gravity is pushing it down like this, straight down, I want my arm to have to resist that downward movement. So I want the weight going in the same direction as gravity is going for the end of the movement. So to do that, I have to bring my arm out forward like this. The bicep is much more engaged in that range at the bottom. But this presents another problem. So we want to strengthen the muscle by lengthening it to its maximum length. That's where you get the best results and you gain the most strength at that length and the most hypertrophy or muscle size. So that gets to our second rule. Let me show you with this band actually. So imagine this is my bicep. So the bicep actually attaches up here at the shoulder and then goes down into my elbow. So bring it up, see how it sags out, even though my elbow is still straight. So that movement of bringing my shoulder forward, since it's attaching up here at the shoulder, actually has lost tension in the bicep. So even though gravity is going the right direction by bringing my arm forward, I've lost a lot of that tension I could be creating in the bicep. To counter that, I need my arm back here and the force going down as well. So how do I do that? I have to actually change my body position instead of my arm position. And that's going to give me that force I need. So what you can do is either lean away from the weight so that you're creating that tension in the bicep. If you just have dumbbells, that would be a great way of doing it. So you're leaning back away and creating that tension at that lengthened position where I'm keeping that length through my bicep while still having gravity push down at the bottom of the movement and where I'm not perpendicular to gravity, but I'm going directly parallel with gravity. If you have a band instead, what I would do is take a step back with your foot. So your back foot that your band is underneath is back a ways, so that way you're pulling at an angle. So as you go up and down, this is actually pulling backwards in parallel with that bicep movement where you're getting tension all the way down to the very bottom, because that's where you build that strength and build that muscle size. So before, I was doing it more like this, where the band was out in front, and you lose all that tension as soon as you get to about here. And this is the most important part of that curl. Number one, you want the force, that gravity or the band, to be pulling in the same direction as the back of your hand. So imagine like you had an arrow pointing through your hand. That's the direction that you want to be going with gravity. And the other thing is you want that muscle to be most lengthened. So you don't want it to be forward, you want to bring it back and down, okay? So get those two things and you can build muscle no matter what exercise you're doing. So those are the two things I'd recommend in any biceps exercise you're going to do. You still want to try and push yourself. You want to be working hard. So picking a weight that's appropriate for you. Make sure you're getting enough workouts per week and enough sets per week to cause that growth as well. You should be able to feel that though in your bicep. If that helped, let me know in the comments. And I hope to see you guys next time. We do these streams at 2 o'clock Pacific Standard Time every Wednesday, and hope to see you guys next time. Take care.